Welcome back to the cryptoworld channel, everyone. My name is Josh, and right now, Bitcoin is still playing out the short-term warning signal as the Bitcoin ETFs are now dumping Bitcoin on the market, pushing the price closer towards a lot of liquidations, while Ethereum is currently running into this critical level of support. So I'll be talking about all of that and more later in the video, so definitely watch to the end. First of all, just before taking a look at the Bitcoin charts today, we need to talk about the Bitcoin news today because on Tuesday, we actually saw a net outflow from the spot Bitcoin ETFs. And so first of all, on Monday, once again, we had that massive net inflow of nearly $500 million US, as I said in my last video. But once again, just on Tuesday, we saw a net outflow of around $78 million US, which basically means the ETF providers that had these outflows on Tuesday had to dump Bitcoin on the market. Because essentially when these outflows are happening out of the Bitcoin ETFs, that means that investors are withdrawing US dollars out of the Bitcoin ETFs by essentially selling Bitcoin ETF shares to raise their US dollars back. And so when that happens, the Bitcoin ETF providers that had to initially buy that Bitcoin in the first place in order to back the ETFs, if people are selling the Bitcoin ETF shares, then essentially the Bitcoin ETF providers are having to sell the Bitcoin that's backing the shares in order to pay out the US dollars. Because otherwise, if the Bitcoin ETF providers do not sell any of that Bitcoin that's backing the Bitcoin ETFs, and if investors are just selling the Bitcoin ETF shares, then that would mean the Bitcoin ETF shares will trade at a discount to net asset value. And so in order for that not to happen, once again, the Bitcoin ETF providers like Grayscale, for example, are having to dump this Bitcoin on the market. And so part of the reason why we've seen some bearish price action in the price of Bitcoin just recently is due to the fact that we're seeing these outflows in the Bitcoin ETFs, at least as of right now. And with that being said, getting into some Ethereum news today, because we now have the information showing the first inflows for the Ethereum spot ETFs that are now trading on the US stock market. And so first of all, Tuesday was the first day that the Ethereum spot ETFs were actually trading on the US stock market. And on Tuesday, we actually saw a net inflow of just over $100 million US coming into these spot Ethereum ETFs. And if we're looking at the ETF flows individually, we can see a huge demand on Tuesday for the BlackRock Ethereum ETF, the Bitwise ETF, and the Fidelity Ethereum ETF. But of course, we saw a massive outflow from the Grayscale funds, the Grayscale ETF, as expected. And I talked more about this in my last video here on the channel, but basically there's an extremely high fee that Grayscale has slapped on this fund right here. And so the existing Ethereum that was already sitting in that fund, as I explained in my last video, the existing Ethereum that was sitting in that fund can now basically escape from that fund because the ETFs are now launched. They are now trading on the US stock market, which means people can now withdraw those funds finally from Grayscale because Grayscale have been charging massive high fees. And once again, when a lot of people are withdrawing from the ETFs, that can cause selling pressure as the ETF providers are having to dump that Ethereum. But at least as of right now, the other ETFs are basically balancing out those outflows from Grayscale. So we still had a net inflow at the end of the day on Tuesday. But with that being said, taking a look at the Bitcoin charts today on the 4-day time frame, nothing has really changed over the last 1 day. So technically speaking, based on this 4-day Bitcoin super trend indicator, this is still in the green, showing a larger bullish trend or a bull market, at least as of right now. And this indicator would only flip back into the red as we saw in the last bear market if we see a confirmed break with a candle close, a 4-day candle close below around 55.8k, which as of right now has not happened. And with that being said, taking a look at this daily Bitcoin chart, and at least for now, we're still seeing a bit of a short-term warning signal here in the DXY with a bit of a bounce back to the upside in the DXY, which is a warning signal for Bitcoin. But I talked more about this in my last video here on the channel. So if you want to know more about this chart right here, then check out my last video here on the channel. And so if we're taking a look at this daily Bitcoin chart, obviously over the last couple of days here, we've seen a further rejection from this critical area of resistance sitting in between around 67 to 68,000, or more specifically going up towards around 68.3k due to a lot of traded volume right at that price range. And so this is still showing a lot of resistance in that price range as expected. And now if we eventually see a confirmed breakout back above around 68.3k with candle closes back above that level, then in that case, the next major resistance is sitting in between around 72 to 74,000. And once again, as I've been saying since all the way back down here, once we broke out above around 60 to 61,000, I've been bullish on the short-term trend and momentum, and I am still bullish on the price right now, bullish in terms of the trend and momentum, not the individual moves that we see basically every single day, because obviously even during a bullish trend, we can see some red days here and there, just like how during a bearish trend, we can have some green days during a bearish trend. And so that's why it's important to understand the difference between the different time frames. When I'm talking about the trend or momentum, I'm talking about ultimately higher lows or higher highs in the price, not necessarily every single little individual movement. But as I've also been saying over the last few days, when we're talking about those smaller moves in the shorter term, I do expect a bit of a short-term cool-off, just a bit of a reset from that bullish trend, which is so far playing out as expected. And now if we end up seeing a further pullback in the short term, we do have major support in between around 63 to 64,000 approximately. And I would only start flipping more bearish again in terms of the trend and momentum here if we start seeing a break back below this critical area of support. So basically breaking below around 63,000 at the same time as seeing more of a bullish reversal signal here in the DXY, which once again would be a bearish reversal signal for Bitcoin. But at least for now, we have not fully confirmed that scenario. And with that being said, if we're taking a look at that 8-hour time frame, right now the price of Bitcoin is still actively playing out this bearish divergence in the short term, which once again is telling us we're most likely going to see either a short-term pullback or at the very least some choppy sideways price action. So basically just a bit of a pause or a break from the bullish trend. So that's what we're seeing right now, just a short-term cool-off during the bullish trend, which is continuing to play out as expected. And if you want to trade these moves in the price of Bitcoin or any other crypto, personally, I take just about all of my trades over on Bybit. So I'll make sure to leave a link to Bybit down below this video in the description and in the pinned comment. And if you use that link down below this video to make a Bybit account and deposit on that account, then you can get up to a $30,000 deposit bonus, but only if you use that link down below this video. And also, if you use that link, it'll take you to this page right here, which is a massive lucky draw happening right now, where you could win potentially up to $100,000 just by trading crypto using the link down below this video. And so if you're going to be trading crypto anyway, you might as well check this out. Once again, first link below this video. But for whatever reason, if you cannot access Bybit or if you cannot KYC on Bybit, there is also Bitflex, which is another crypto exchange similar to Bybit, but you don't need KYC for Bitflex. And so I will also make sure to leave a link to Bitflex down below this video as an alternative crypto exchange. And with that being said, if we're taking a quick look at the Bitcoin liquidation heat map, right now the price is getting very close to a major level of liquidity, starting at around 65.3 to 65.4K and going down towards around 65,000. And so basically in between around 65,000 to 65.4K, we have major liquidity, which is something to pay attention to and a potential short-term price target for the price of Bitcoin. Because usually the price of Bitcoin tends to go towards where there's a lot of liquidity, especially if it's close to the price here in the short term, which is this level right here at around 65 to 65,500. And other than that level right there, we do have a little bit of liquidity to the upside around 67,500 and some more liquidity at around 68,500 to 69,000 and a lot of liquidity at around 63,000. But at least for now, once again, the main level of liquidity that is close to the price is sitting at roughly around 65.3 to 65.4K. And with that being said, if we're taking a look at Ethereum on the daily time frame, right now the price of ETH is clearly losing a lot of bullish momentum, at least in the short term, which is what I've been talking about over the last few days, once again with this bearish divergence telling us we are losing bullish momentum. But with that being said, this breakout right here for this bump and run reversal pattern technically only invalidates if we see a confirmed break back below the point of the breakout. So if we start seeing daily candle closes back below around 32.70, that of course would invalidate this bullish breakout right here and the bullish price target at around 3.9K. And so at least for now, once again, we have not yet invalidated that bullish breakout and that bullish price target, but we are clearly losing bullish momentum, as we can see here on the 8-hour time frame, with this bearish divergence still actively playing out, as I've already been warning about for days now on the channel. Because obviously over the last few days, I've been saying this bearish divergence is most likely going to play out in the form of either a short-term pullback or at the very least some choppy sideways price action. So basically a bit of a cool off or a setback from the bullish trend. But this by itself is not necessarily enough to confirm a new bearish trend, so for that we need to see other bearish trend reversal signals, like for example breaks below key support. That would be one signal to pay attention to. And so when it comes to support and resistance right now, we still have a lot of resistance at this golden pocket Fibonacci area of resistance in between around 3470 to around 3520. And as for support, we have a lot of support at around 3340 to 3380 and more support in between around 3.2k to around 3230. And if we're taking a look at this Fibonacci retracement tool on the 4-hour time frame, drawn from this swing low at around 2.8k to the latest swing high, this places the 23.6% Fibonacci level of support right at around 3360 to 3370. And as of recording this video, the price of ETH is basically coming into contact with that level right now. And so if we start breaking below this level and also this level of support that I just mentioned here, then once again, expect to move down towards around 3250 potentially and around 3.2k as the next short-term levels of support. And also, if we break below around 3360, give or take, clearly that would be bearish price structure because the price would basically be breaking to the downside from this price range right here, which would be a bearish trend reversal signal, at least in the short term here for the trend and momentum. And with that being said, taking a quick look at the price of Solana, and over the last few days, we saw that perfect rejection from this area of resistance that I've already been warning about in between around 183 to 187, and then we came back down to this exact area of support, which was previous resistance, and then saw a perfect bounce from that area, which is sitting in between around 170 to 175. And so at least for now, the price of Solana is still respecting these areas of support and resistance. Once again, a resistance in between 183 to 187 and support in between 170 to 175. And so at least in the immediate short term here, we're basically in a bit of a sideways price range, chopping around sideways in between support and resistance. But unless we start seeing a break back below around 170, and especially if we break back below 160, unless we start seeing those signals, technically speaking, we can remain within the short-term bullish trend. But just in the immediate short term, as in talking about the next few days or so, once again, we should be expecting a bit of a short-term cool-off of some sort from the bullish trend, which can happen during the bullish trend if we hold above these key levels of support. And so ultimately, not much has really changed here over the last one day. The price is still playing out what I've been saying over the last few days. But if you want to trade these moves, once again, check out those links down below this video to claim those extra bonuses. And if you want to actually know how to trade the price of any crypto, no matter if the price is bullish, bearish, or chopping around sideways, then make sure to watch these videos popping up right here on your screen. The video in the top left shows you how you can profit from bullish or bearish price action using long positions or short positions. And the video in the bottom left shows you how you can easily profit from choppy sideways price action. But anyway, that is everything that I have to say for today. I really hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you all in the next video.